I'm Aaron Selby. I'm the production supervisor here at Plant the Lights and Juniper Level Botanic Garden. Today we are going to get into a little bit of plant bondage and we're going to start coring and drilling our agaves to make more babies.
So tell me a little bit about the principles of this, because Tony had mentioned it, but for folks who are just tuning in now and saying, you're gonna do what?
Yeah, so this is sort of just like trimming a tree. You take the top out of it, you make all the side branches and lateral buds break. Well, we do the same thing with monocots here, and specifically with agaves, where we're trying to isolate variegation or some other phenotype that may be some sort of off type. Or it may be we're trying to replicate the plant because you can't do it by any other means. So what we do here is we basically use a drill.
Now, do you have to clean that drill?
I will, yeah. We use fire for everything.
Yeah.
Once again, we go crazy with everything around here.
I'm gonna stand back.
Everything gets a torch.
Yeah.
We will sterilize this just like you would in the microbiology class. Fire is the best way to sterilize. It's not going to ruin your tools or anything like that. You might tweak it out a little bit with some heat. And then I'm also going to take time to take care of my pocket knife because I don't know where that's been as well.
Yeah.
So the process is just about being really, really clean, sterile, and then just making sure that you don't overwater once the core has actually happened.
Yeah. And then I know we're about to drill and it's going to get messy pretty soon. But is there anything that you have to do to the plant that you cut into, or does it just kind of harden off after a few days? Yeah,
so what we'd like to do is basically we let it air dry out for a couple days. We'll typically put it in a solid bottom tray of water and continue to water the plant that way. We're going to try and minimize any overhead watering getting down into the actual core of the plant.
Yeah.
What we're going to do with the drill, a lot of people don't do, is we take it a further step and we will actually core completely through the base of the basal plate of this plant.
Really? And
so then that water will continue to drain.
Go drain down, okay.
It's really important to keep it dry for like the next 2 to 3 weeks so it actually gets a chance to callus off and you minimize any sort of rotting.
And so have you ever like misdrilled?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is the hard part. Sometimes the agave may be growing out of the pot slightly off center, and your meristem is actually like this.
Right, and
so
your meristem is like the growing region.
So say you cut an onion in half.
Yeah.
And what you end up with is like this little tiny bit of growth, say, down at the base of the plant, like right here. We're trying to eliminate that on the basal plate. And what happens is sometimes it might be crooked. So you have to actually like look at the plant and see what that main angle is at right through here. So you have to really be kind of paying attention to what you're going to do.
Yeah, I'd be sweating. I'd be clammy hand.
Oh, yeah?
On my first one or whatever. So.
Wow, yeah, we do a whole lot. This is our form of acupuncture. We draw a lot of blood and nervous ticks you get from this. You never know what nerves you're gonna hit. So here we go.
Okay,
the first thing I'm gonna do is basically just look at the top of the plant, sort of like this. And I'm gonna come in first with my pruners. I'm gonna eliminate.
Oh, just so you don't get.
Yeah, I don't like to really punch these things.
Yeah.
Try and minimize that as much as possible. So the next step we're going to do is we're gonna come in and I'm gonna take this button and I'm just gonna basically take that out.
Okay.
Gently take that out. And the secret here is not to get too crazy with the margins. If you scrape out all these margins and where the eyes are connected.
It's like an artichoke, isn't it?
It's pretty cool, yeah. Actually, some of these, we've seen some really, really large cores, as large as like, so there's that. So right in here is where our meristem is. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's kind of the central growth point. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue to clean this out. And we're going to just make sure I get all this material kind of cleaned out properly.
Because this is where the drill's gonna go.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do is basically get down to that meristem as best as possible in a rough shape, and we'll come back through after I drill, and we actually clean this out really, really well because we don't want to leave any damaged tissue in there to continue rotting and possibly senesce and take all our hard work and these rare plants out. So, all right, I think I got it to about where I want it. And I'm just gonna continue to kind of clean out so I can hopefully expose the meristem for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. But basically it's all chopped up in a mess at the moment. So what we're going to do now is shoot for that central point right in here where my knife is.
Okay.
And we've already sterilized our drill. And what we're going to do is we're gonna make sure that we hit that angle correctly. So I'm gonna just come in here and we're right through it. I'll widen that out a little bit. Now we want to make sure when we're scraping this that we're not using too wide of a bit, because if you go in with something too large, you would scrape out all the margins where those dormant eyes are lying.
I see, okay. And so what is this, what size of
So
bit
this is probably like maybe a 1/4 inch drill. It's not very thick.
Yeah, and you have a long drill too.
I have a long one because we'll use reference containers sometimes on plants like this large.
Right.
Over the past, I've done a couple up in the garden. And I mean, you core this thing and you got a central core like this large around
like a
and
soil
like that.
core.
It looks like a rhinoceros horn.
Yeah.
It's really large.
Crazy.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue to clean this area out and make sure that I get this really, really clean. So we'll just kind of take all that stuff out. All right, I might actually take a couple of these leaves that are slightly damaged.
So we're taking these leaves off, but would that be where, like, could this
So yeah, so at
generate
the
a
base,
baby?
what I'm trying to look for, I was trying to show you by cleaning that up to see if we could find any buds there, and they're really small at this point in time. This is really new growth, but at the base of where I pulled those, there are actually dormant buds that will break. They're really, really microscopic and small at this point in time. Typically, we will see the older leaves and the older buds that are lower on the plant break before we would get this top growth. So yeah.
Amazing. And we already saw some of like the new offsets that are coming off of the agave. This is just, it's mind-blowing.
It
this
has
little
been fun.
Trick.
Yeah, it's fun when you have like, especially like streaked variegation. I just pulled some pots of one where we stabilize this form. This is agave bareback rider we're working on releasing, but this was off of a mutation that we call craziness, and it's just basically the streaked form of a regular variegation. We found one margin on one of those streaked plants that had a stabilized margin. We cross-cut it, the pup broke, we stabilized it, and now we have a stabilized clone.
Wow.
So pretty fun stuff. I think we learned this. Tony originally started doing this with agaves or hostas back in the day, if I'm not wrong. Whenever you would find a hosta sport, we would do what we call a crosscut. And basically, instead of coming through the top of the plant, we would find that variegated sport and then cut perpendicular to that bud so it would break.
How many of these do you venture that you've done?
We're in the thousands. Yeah. It's 20 plus years of doing this now. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for showing this.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you this, this little lesson here. It's nice to meet you, Summer.
Yeah,
thank you.
Same here.
You could check out the full tour of Plant Delight's nursery here on Plant One On Me, and the tour of the grounds of Juniper Level Botanic Garden over at our sister channel, Flock Finger Lakes. Now, if you enjoy botanical goodness like this, give the video a thumbs up and be part of the crew here by subscribing. It helps us grow and gets our videos out to more plant lovers. In the meantime, if you're looking for more plant-filled information, head over to homesteadbrooklyn.com to take a look at our suite of online houseplant courses and more, from the 125 houseplant care spreadsheet to the Houseplant Masterclass. See you in the next video.